Welcome, everyone. I'm so delighted to hang out here and record a session with my dear friend, my soul sister, Rhonda. She lives in Lebanon, and I felt the urge to record one of the many hangouts that we always have, with or without coffee. In this case, it's without coffee, it seems. But there is something that really intrigues me about the connection that I've built over the years with Rhonda, or we have been building together. And there's something that I recognize in her on a soul level, on a desire in life. And that sounds really deep. But I just wanted to use this, maybe as a first recording, maybe it's successful and we do another one as well. But I just wanted to to get to know Rhonda a little bit more. Rhonda has been actually interviewing or asking me quite a bit over the last couple of months or maybe year. I forgot, on the Facebook Live, which has been streaming, and that is always really interesting, fun, intriguing. So thank you for being here, Rhonda, and I'm so happy that you're willing to do this.
Thank you for inviting me and for the opportunity to speak to you on this platform, different from our usual meetings that have been happening for 9 months or so, since the beginning of this year, but this one is going to be a little bit different. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'm excited to be here with you.
Good. Well, excitement is something that comes from a deeper place, and I'm also very excited about this. Maybe you are willing to maybe introduce yourself to my audience, and maybe just you can tell a little bit about where you grew up, maybe the life that you're currently living, so that people have a bit of an idea, who Rhonda really is.
Yeah, sure, gladly. So my name is Randa Ali. I'm a feminine resilience coach. I live in Lebanon, Middle East, and I have been coaching women since 2018. I help them to reclaim their feminine power from their dysregulated nervous system. This wasn't always my work, that I wasn't always in this business. I grew up in a town in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon. I'm half Brazilian, half Lebanese, so I was affected by the Brazilian culture as well as the Lebanese culture. And I finished my studies at the university, and I worked 10 years in corporate. That left me feeling very disconnected from myself, very unsatisfied, despite being successful. I had a very great position, a high-paying job. But then in 2014, within 2 months, I lost that high-paying job and I exited an abusive relationship. These two events, they left me with PTSD, and this is where my journey started. I started looking for answers, really. All I wanted to do was to find myself a way out of that black hole that I was feeling I was stuck in, because I wasn't able to experience any kind of positive emotion. I was just stuck in that place where I'm experiencing all sorts of negative emotions, and I thought that, this was it. This is going to be me forever. My life just collapsed. I am maybe not worthy of being happy or experiencing any sort of positive emotion. And that pushed me to start looking for answers about, why am I feeling that way? What are these emotions I'm experiencing? And so this led me to start reading about the nervous system, about emotions, and then I started studying to get my coaching certificate in coaching on resilience, how to build emotional resilience. And I guess this is how I got to meet you, Dirk, because we're both heart math coaches. And when I started coaching in 2017, I got my coaching certificate. In 2018, I started my business and I launched my business. But it was mostly, what was pushing me is wanting to help women who were in the same place where I was, and to help them use the techniques that I used to heal my PTSD. But not just that, there was something within me that was speaking to femininity and feminine energy. I even started writing posts about that subject before learning anything about coaching, before even reading anything about that subject per se. And I realized how passionate I am about femininity and feminine energy, and I wanted to understand it. And why was this difference between how my Brazilian culture taught me to look at myself and how the Lebanese culture taught me to look at myself? And this is where I dove deeper into femininity and feminine energy, and that became also part of my work that I'm still doing now. I help women from all over the world, Arabic-speaking women, because I speak Arabic myself, and women who speak English, who are not Arabs as well.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And there's so much in this. And I don't want to make this into a super long, hours long conversation, but I'm very interested in, so you said I worked in a corporate career, and there was a disconnect. And then that disconnect, I'm just curious, because you say like, hey, I live in the Middle East, and most of the people that watch this have really no clue what it is like to live there as a woman. So in this job that you had, or this career, you felt there was a disconnect. Later, you became more interested in the deeper aspect of our psyche, through experiencing abuse. But I'm also curious, like, what is the role of a woman, in your culture? Could that have contributed to some of the things that you feel? So I'm really curious, what was happening, in your career what does it mean when you feel disconnected?
Yes. I can say that when I was within that container, within that work, I wasn't aware of the disconnect. I thought that this is what life is all about. I graduate from university, I find myself a decent job, not a job that I like. It doesn't have to be something that I like. It wasn't even in any way related to my major of studies, because I studied something in IT. It's called business computing. And then I worked at a bank, customer service. That was like very far away from my major, but it was the only job available for me in the area where I lived. Back then, it was not very common that I would leave my parents' house to live in a different city and work away from the family's house. And so I started following the rules that were set and the norms that were set for a woman like me, which is, find yourself a man to get married, basically, primarily. Otherwise, find yourself a decent job. Somewhere that is nearby your house and it pays okay, and that's it. But I wasn't happy. There were no progress for me in that work. I was meant to stay in the same cubicle for 30 and 40 years, and I was looking at my coworkers, and it made me feel frustrated. I was seeing my future in them, and I didn't like what I was seeing. But then I was convincing myself, this is what's available for me. I can't even think of asking for more. But I also I'm blessed to have parents who always encourage me. And so the first time I switched my job, I was still in the banking sector, but it was a different bank. It was a better pay, and there was a margin of progress from I could progress in some way. So I started pushing myself to prove that I can be successful. So I was just also abiding by the norms and what is expected from me. My health deteriorated during that time. I gained weight. I had a lot of stress. There was no source of satisfaction for me, although I was a successful employee, and I was progressing, and I was getting bonuses and all of that. So typically, people would say this is like the perfect place to be in. Like I'm having the perfect life, but I was not even capable of enjoying my time off. My nervous system was not in that capacity. I left that work to work in a university. It was an up level for me, but still, it was all about moving within the norms that are built for me. These are the boundaries. These are the boxes that I had to fit in. I was not empowered to add anything that is from my essence. I was not empowered to add any part of Randa within that work. You know, this is what is required from you. Follow the steps and that's it. Get paid at the end of the month and that's it. So that was also the perfect job by the norms and the society. But even that didn't continue. The university shut down, and I lost that job as well. So the disconnect was really that feeling of not satisfied. Nothing was bringing me joy on any level. Like I said, even my time off, I was unable to enjoy that. And there was no time for me to ask myself, what did I want? I just knew that I'm living something that I don't want, but I'm not allowed, like I did not allow myself to tap into that so that I can change it in any way. No.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, and thank you for sharing all this, because a lot of people work and live this way that you're describing, and they maybe have accepted that as the norm. I don't know, you and I have that for sure in common, because I also left my corporate career based on, it's a long story and I won't get too much into it here, but I felt at some point during my school years, I was basically being told that I wasn't smart enough and I couldn't do the things. And then I ended up, in a senior position in a corporate environment in Europe. And at some point I realized, why do I do this? Why is it that I continue to do this work? It's a really good career, and people even look up to me, for whatever I was doing. But I felt really empty in a way when I was doing that. And I realized actually that I tried to prove to myself and to my mom and dad, I guess, that I could do this. That was the sole purpose, of my journey in the corporate world. And then I realized I could do it. And for me, that was enough to go on to my next level. And so I recognize quite a bit in that. So it's so interesting to talk about this, because if you talk also about following rules, and when rules are being made for people by other people, rules are being made by our parents to start with, when we are young, but it's not necessarily matching the calling of our own soul journey, or whatever you call it. So that means is that the rules that we often have to obey or to follow can be there can be a fraction between what we really desire, and then it's just a matter of, do we dare to listen to that and to even step out of that. And that's very uncomfortable, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to record some of this, because I have an incredible admiration for what you do, because a woman in the Middle East is often, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is often not supposed to voice her deeper calling. She has to follow a certain pattern in society, like we all do also in the West. It's a little different, but you, with all the risks involved, all the backlash that could come at you follow that deeper calling, and you're on a journey yourself, and you're not hesitating to share that with anyone else online, with other women. What is that? Why are you like that, do you think? Is that part of your upbringing? Is that just a part of, like, Rhonda that needs to voice her? What do you make of that?
Well, now that I know the truth, this is who I am. This is the truth of me all along. This is who I have always been. But I did not allow this part of me to come out always, because of the programming, because of all the societal norms that I had to conform to. And I think I'm blessed to have this small family that supported me. And yes, I always had to hear remarks such as, "It was a very bad move that you left the bank. You shouldn't have left that high-paying job. Why did you decide to move to another place? Your continuous move to different positions, it just means that you're a lousy employee or lousy at work." All of these comments I was hearing a lot whenever I moved, for example, to the other bank, or when I moved to the university. And then when that job had to come to an end, that was the worst of it all. That was when I was subject to the most criticism and judgment, because, "See, we told you, you shouldn't have left the bank. See, the bank is the safe place where you should have stayed. Why did you have to leave that place?" And I guess I'm too stubborn to listen to all of that. And that is something that I also get criticized about a lot, being stubborn, because this is something that women are not supposed to be. Like, women in my culture, this is one of the worst qualities, according to the culture, that a woman can have, being stubborn. But the thing is, I'm being stubborn about the things that matter to me, about the things that I know are in my highest good. And so if that means, some people are not going to like it, then I'm fine with that. But there's always this part within us, Dirk. We choose to listen to that part, or we choose not to listen. But it's always, our truth is always nudging us. It's always looking for opportunities to tell us, look this way or look the other way, to guide us, to lead us. We just choose to listen, or we don't.
Yeah, that last part is really powerful, and I could not agree more with you. That stubbornness is maybe a quality, and we could, you could go for a definition, what is stubborn, because it sounds almost a little negative in a way, but maybe it's just standing for what you feel, what you want to bring into the world, and not being distracted by anyone else. And maybe people call that stubborn, who knows? There's definitely a piece of a rebel inside of you, which I recognize for sure, which is, I see that as a positive quality, especially. And I wanted to just go a little bit into the current situation in the world where we're at. You have discovered, together with me and many others, that the obeying part of what you talked about earlier, not being stubborn, wanting to fit in, not wanting to get any backlash for whatever you say that is true to you, but maybe not true to the societal norms, is not always very easy. And we've seen in the last couple of years, and many with us, that an entire global nation is waking up from actually a really bad dream. And you have no issue sharing that with others, what it is that you see. You're in the middle of, well, we all are in the middle of a war. In this case, on this side of the planet, it's fought in a different way than where you're at. What are you making of that right now? How do people see you, if you have any idea, and what do you make of the situation globally?
This has been going for a very long time here, Dirk. It's just that now, because of social media, people are getting the chance to know the reality of things. Despite that, not everyone is deciding to believe this reality. Maybe they don't want to believe it, or they don't want, like you said, some people are waking up, and some people maybe they don't want to wake up. And I have been sharing about the conflicts here in the Middle East for a very long time, but I was not always aware of the reaction of others to me sharing that, because it wasn't being shared like very intensely or over a very long period of time. Just when there was an upheaval, I'm sharing something, and then it settles down. But lately, with everything that I have been sharing, I realized that this has not only been an awakening about a certain political situation that is happening. It's way, way beyond that. It is an awakening about how powerful or powerless are we against these systems that are in control. How much are they really controlling us, and where our power lies, and how can we take our power back from all of that? But also, how are we playing part in these systems of suppression? How are we maintaining these systems? How are we feeding into the narrative that keeps the system? How are we upholding these systems? Some people are not willing to see how they are playing a part in upholding the system. And some of us who are really playing a big part in upholding the patriarchy, upholding colonialism, are the ones that claim are not doing that, especially when it comes to feminists. And I have seen how this is creating, I don't want to say creating division. See, this is programming. I have been subject to remarks such as, Randa, don't speak up, you are feeding into the division. Don't say what's on your mind, because you are causing the division, because you are creating this negative field that is, you're fueling all of this polarity, you're fueling into the conflict. You'd better not say anything. I was pushed to spiritually bypass all of that. When I am living it, Dirk, I am experiencing it live. I'm hearing the sounds. I I am hearing the espionage planes above my head. I hear the warplanes. I hear the sound booms. And then I'm being asked to spiritually bypass it, not talk about it. And I'm being judged when I talk about it, that I'm, feeding into the conflict or into the division. And so I'm the bad person here. And so also, I am not to attack feminists when they are only about empowering women in a certain place and against empowering women in a different place. And here, let me also be very clear, I'm talking about imperial feminism and white feminism. Some people don't like that we use these words, but this is what exists, because we have seen some feminists who are all about empowering women in the West, but Muslim women who are wearing hijabs are just oppressed. They don't know what they want. They're just being forced to wear the hijab. They can't speak up for themselves. They can't decide for themselves. To me, it doesn't match. This is not feminism. This is not about empowering women. You can't say that a woman in the West is smarter than a woman in the Middle East because women in the Middle East cover their heads and so they're just dumb, or they don't know what the religion is about. And I just want to say that women know what they want, and they wear the hijab because they want that, because they feel empowered about their bodies. The same way a woman in the West owns her body totally, and she's always acting from that empowered place of, I own this body and I will do whatever I want with this body. It's the same thing. A woman who is empowered can decide to wear hijab. To me, it's the same empowerment. But why some groups, they can't see it as empowerment? This is not feminism to me, and so I call it out as well. And like I said, sometimes even within circles of friends, I'm not accepted. This part of me is not accepted, and so this part of me does not feel safe to speak up. And I want to say that I have decided to end these connections where I don't feel safe to be myself, to express these things, to say that, I'm worried about what is happening and I want to speak up about what is happening. And so I decided I'm no longer performing, because Dirk, in this part of the world, we are always required to perform. Women or men, just Arabs, we're required to perform to the whole world, to prove that we are good people, that we are not terrorists, that we are not barbarians. So I decided I'm no longer playing in that game. And so that was the rebel also in me, like you said. This was one way I decided to no longer play a part in these systems.
Yeah, thank you so much, Randa, for sharing that. These are things that a lot of people in the West have no idea about, how that works, how that feels, deep on a gut level. So now you have learned a lot. We all learn a lot through these years. You have learned a lot, through your past relationship where you experienced abuse. There is the abuse, but at the same time, if that would not have happened, who knows, we might not talk here today. And so these are the interesting things. So you have gained a lot of wisdom as well. And I'm curious, after all that you've said, what do you believe currently at this point in your life what your best contribution is? You talk about maybe playing into division. We're both trainers or coaches, or we both work with the heart. We use the intuitive wisdom. We know how we affect the field. Putting that all together for yourself And you said something really beautiful, and I think that's why we connect so well, is that we both feel safe around each other, emotionally safe, not being judged in any way. We're keen to learn, to understand each other, which I believe is a really good role model, you know, for everyone on the planet, and then things would be very different. But what would be your best contribution at this point in time? Is that how you currently live, or would be there if you would have a magic wand and you could tap your own shoulder, or we could tap each other's shoulder and say, if this were to happen, you know, this is how I would want to stand in life. Would it be any different? What do you think?
Well, I can't be naive and say that where I am is the perfect thing, because I know in many ways I could be doing better, and I don't know how right now. I don't know. I still don't know where the improvement can be, but what I know for sure is happening for me right now is, first and foremost, being true to myself. This is very, very important in whatever contribution I need to make, in whatever way, in whatever situation, to whomever. Being true to myself is the basis that I have to initiate from, because that would only lead me to create a positive impact. That would help me to realize, what does my soul want? What does my heart want? And then moving from that place. And for me right now, it is creating that balance between speaking up about what is happening, but also remaining coherent, staying in alignment, staying in my power. Because if I am going to allow all of that is happening right now, all the tragedies that I'm witnessing, the fear that I'm experiencing, the nights that I'm waking up startled because of the sounds of the bombs, if I'm going to allow my dysregulated nervous system to take over, I know that that's not going to be a very good thing. I will not be able to contribute in any way. But I'm committed to, my well-being, my emotional well-being, regulating my nervous system so that it can give me the capacity to be in my optimal performance. Just as, my nervous system is in optimal performance when I'm in coherence, it allows me to emotionally and mentally present to the world my optimal performance, and that will allow me to stay in that balance of speaking up about what is happening, but also staying in my power so that I'm not feeling powerless against all that is happening. And I continue to support my clients as well, and look for opportunities to support people in my community as well. Because, for example, right now in my town, we are receiving like 50 families who have fled the war. They have opened the town school for them, and so I'm going to be offering support for the children and the women to teach them how to regulate their nervous system and how to handle stress. This is something that to me is about taking my power back from what is happening. Also, one thing, Dirk, that I really want to say here is, and I have witnessed that in a meeting where Lebanon's trauma is being discussed, and we're always asked, why don't you leave? And I'm always showing them my Brazilian passport. It's ready, it's here with me, it's valid. I can just go to the airport and choose a country in like Europe or 100 different countries to go to without even having to worry about a visa. But I choose to stay because this is my home. This is the house that I grew up in. This matters to me. This country matters to me. This is my homeland. And I'm not going to allow this evil entity that is attacking my country to dictate how I live my life. And so this is also one way I take my power back from what is happening and stay in my power and not consider myself a victim of what is happening.
Yeah, beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, you say something that I often hear, stay true to yourself. And then I was thinking about it while you were talking, and then I thought, then you need to know who you are. And otherwise you don't know who you are true to. And I think that's the biggest conflict with many people. They want to stay true to themselves, but they have no really a clue or don't know really well who they are. And then it's easier to follow guidelines or suggestions from other people, friends, family, whatever is in the culture. And we are, and it seems you are, along this journey that's not always easy. We're learning more and more about ourselves and where we want to stand. And it's beautiful. And I really love what you say about not fleeing the country. Because I could not agree more with you, although I left the country 23 years ago where I grew up in for different reasons. But not necessarily to leave any country because, it's difficult, it's hard. What I resonate with a lot, I personally do not believe so much in resistance, although I would always, stand up for what I believe in. But I once heard a quote from Buckminster Fuller, and that is also part of my journey, or actually my journey is fueled by that, is where he said, don't put your energy in fighting a system that is dysfunctional. Try to build something that is so well built for the future that automatically the old will become obsolete. And that's what I really believe in. I do that on a level of health and wellness with people. I do that basically on all levels, where I try not to feed my energy into the system that is so dysfunctional. Yes, I will stand up like you do for whatever I do not agree with, but most of my energy, as you and I know, we can feed our energy towards whatever we want, and at the end, we only have so much capacity in terms of energy. I want to have that go to the things that are really close to my heart. And it's also one of the reasons why I want to put some energy into this, because our connection is also really close to my heart, because I believe it is also a metaphor for feeling safe with other people, feeling heard, feeling appreciated, not just because what you say, but just by expressing of who you really are. If everything that you are is welcome in a relationship, in a connection, or within a country. So I appreciate that so much about you, about us. Maybe a last thing, because you speak about femininity, and you have decided to bring me in on a regular basis, to have chats. What is your idea about well, I wouldn't say the femininity is related to women and the masculinity is related to men, because we both have connection to that energy, and we talked quite a bit about that. What could be the benefit for you to, for example, bring in this Western person who happens to be a man, into your audience, and what kind of effect could that have?
Thank you for asking this question, Dirk. And I want to say first that I also appreciate you, and I appreciate this connection, not only because I feel appreciated and safe to be myself, but I also feel seen. I also feel safe to say a lot of things. We didn't just talk about, for example, what has been happening. I've shared with you so much about being a Sufi, so much about Islam, and you were open to receive all that I have shared, that it allowed me to no longer see you as this Western man who is halfway across the world from me. And so it did not seem to me as something that would be strange that I would bring you into a monthly meeting where we would talk about so many things that to me felt very, I want to say, it felt like anyone in the world, wherever they are, no matter what their background is, they can resonate with. This connection went beyond all kinds of borders, the border of, the country or even the language. And yet we always come to a center idea, a common grounds. We always find that. And from that place, we both share our own background, our own experiences, our own thought, our own perception of what is happening about life, about pretty much anything, and it doesn't look so foreign. And so it just made a lot of sense that people in my audience, to me, it felt like, they needed to hear this, and I knew they would resonate with what you're saying, because we have learned about what is feminine energy and what is masculine energy, how to heal as a man and how to heal as a woman. And it felt to me, it felt to me like the next logical step is how to become better players, both of us, men and women, the healed masculine and the healed feminine, how they can play a part in healing the community, in healing the collective. How can we start healing together? Not just because we have done the healing each on their own. What could be at play if we come to heal together? How would that, manifest? How could that play out? What would show up for us? And I know there's no final stage that we reached in healing, and then we're like perfect, done. Nothing else is required from us. I know it's a lifelong journey, but it felt like the next logical move for me that, because we have done our work individually, this is now the time of collaboration, of healing the collective, healing the community, playing part into feeding a new energetic field, creating a new energetic field, a new collective energy into the field, into the communities. And so I think that with your wisdom and what you have been sharing, and with the questions that I'm always asking you that sometimes are like a little bit too much maybe, but I like to go deep in the questions. You have always been inspiring our audience, and also sharing things that are applicable, practical, real life, actionable things. We're not talking about things that are out there, esoteric, in the fifth dimension. We're here. We're pretty much grounded, and this is what I'm interested in. How can we, through our actions, create this vision that we want to create in this world?
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And so that last part is maybe also we can close with, and who knows, we do another chat sometime sooner than later. The actionability. I often say life is simple, yet the seeker of life is often complex. And I truly believe that. Life is not that complex, but we often make it very complex based on everything, on our brain, how it works, our perceptions, our belief systems, and programming, all of that. But in itself, just look at a tree, look at a beautiful flower. They're not going through the same difficult process as we're going, it seems. And then the collaboration part is something that I wanted to say that here, on the record, is also my wish or my desire to further collaborate in a way that we can help not just bring the West and the East a little closer, but just for us to come closer to ourselves and to be an inspiration for people in whatever way we can do that in the future. We'll see, because we are both following our hearts, and who knows what comes out of that. But I thought it was really cool, and inspiring and just wonderful to listen to my dear friend Rhonda, to see what she's experiencing. And for you, when you listen to this and you watch this, maybe in hindsight, just think about it for a few minutes and feel into this on the messages that you get from, let's say, news outlets, in case you still watch the news, is very far from the reality of how people live on different parts of the world. So I'm incredibly grateful for you being in my life, for you being as a friend, as a mentor. And I hope everyone who watched this is feeling the same way. I wanted to ask you, Rhonda, a last maybe thing that you wanted to share to finish our conversation with. Anything that inspires you or anything that you want to share.
Thank you, Dirk. Again, I'm really grateful for this opportunity and for allowing me to, again, be seen and to share these parts of me that I, maybe with a different interviewer, I may not have shared. So thank you for holding this safe space for me to share all these parts within me, and thank you for your continuous support. And like you said, I'm looking forward to how this is going to unfold. And to anyone who is going to listen to this talk, I want to say thank you for giving me the time to share with you what my own perspective of what is happening, my own perspective of this world. And I hope that I have not triggered anyone in some way, and that was not my intention. And I hope that you will find it within yourself to listen with your heart and also share your heart as well with others. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you again. See you soon.
Thank you. See you.